Welcome to GBIRL, the podcast looking at the real business world of esports, gaming, and streaming with the people and personalities behind it all. Here is your host, Bill the Conqueror.
Everybody, welcome back to the podcast. This specific episode was streamed live, and it's the version of my podcast that I've always wanted to do. Don't always get to, given my own standing, my connections, and just life in general. I'd like to do them live, all of them live if I could, but it doesn't work out that way. In this one, I finally get to connect with Kevin Hitt. He wrote an excellent article about the ECI certification exam process that failed miserably. We all know it. I'll make sure to have a link to the study guide as well as his article in the description below. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Do not forget, like, share, subscribe to the channel. Thanks for tuning in. I hope to do more of these soon. And I'll see you soon. Oh my gosh, it is actually the man himself, Kevin Hitt.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. All right, perfect. Let me do this. Perfect. All right, there you see him. He's on the screen. The man himself, Kevin Hitt. Hello, my friend. How have you been?
What is happening, Bill? I'm doing okay. Lots of things happening, just work-wise, and on other fronts. But yeah, man, just winding down a week and relaxing a little bit, and here I am.
Yes, and speaking of winding down your week, now, so when we're finished here, don't you have a D&D thing that you do?
Yes, but I'm recasting for that. Our group kind of blew up.
Oh no.
Yeah, no, that's all good. I'm not even mad at it. No one's mad. Well, I don't know if no one's mad at it, but I'm completely okay with it. Just recasting for a new season.
Gotcha. Fair enough.
Yeah, just bringing in some new players, fresh blood. And so we're casting for about 3 different games. But yeah, so, look, going back to my roots, coaching volleyball. I'm going to go back to the volleyball game that I've been out of for a little while. I mean, as assistant coach for with the women's national team program and the Olympic program during the London Games quad, coaching college for 12 years. And it's something I'm just really good at. And so I'm going back to it because I figure I'm turning 50 soon. Holy shit. And I'd rather go to a place where people are nicer.
Yeah, and I totally understand. Speaking of things that you're good at, you're also an excellent writer.
That subjective according to a lot of people, but I really do appreciate you saying that. Because the reality of it is, man, it's like a lot of these people just don't like to look in the mirror. When they do something wrong,
they never do.
They hate it. And then they want to obfuscate what they've done.
Right.
And then they want to besmirch the journalist or blacklist the journal. I mean, there's just so many just inherently, I say they're evil, not truly evil, but just evil things that go on behind the scenes about the basically combative nature of journalists versus, what they cover. And it bums me out because there's 2 things that I've said, internally to my friends. One, the fastest way to get me out of journalism is to hire me up at a better paying job. So if you're out there and you want to, take me out of the journalistic ranks, well, offer me a job. And then secondly would be just stop doing silly things like this, EIC thing.
And that's
ECI or whatever.
Yeah, ECI. And that's why you're here, because I have the command in chat. So if you're in chat and you want to read the article exclamation point Kevin exclamation point Kevin gives you the article that this man wrote today in the Esports Observer. And so, true story, I paid $25 for the ECI study.
Dude.
I paid $25 for the ECI study guide, and I streamed myself reading it in real time on Wednesday. I'm like, okay, this is, I reading through it, I'm thinking, this is a near MBA a course. I mean, you're going over history, you're going over operations, you're going over the math, and I'm like, there's a lot here. I mean, I could see, okay, $400 sounds, I mean, for something like this, if this wasn't esports, if it was something else, accounting or whatever, $400 would be, as far as I'm concerned, would be reasonable, right?
Man, we'll disagree a little bit because I know the CPA exam's not even that much, right?
Okay.
The civil service exam's not even that much.
Okay.
I don't even think taking the MCAT or the LSAT's that much. It's
Really?
like,
Okay.
yeah, I want to say they're like 220 or something like that. But
Okay.
it's like, yeah, but the problem is, man, you look at that exam, right? And it's
Right.
like, if I want to go work at Esports, let's say, what part of the exam touched about anything about what you know about journalism?
Right.
None.
None. And
It's like zero questions.
well, and I was going through a study guide. Why would anybody in 2021 give one iota of give one iota of a damn that the actual birth of esports was in 1974? Why would anybody care?
I barely remember Holyoke, Massachusetts for when volleyball was invented.
I
couldn't.
Right, and I mean,
tell you what year.
Well, and even more recently, if you can think, oh, okay, so the birth of modern quote unquote esports is you're talking about playing StarCraft in South Korea. 99% of the people these orgs and groups want to hire don't care. They don't care.
I don't know about it.
I mean,
I don't know. I don't know anything about StarCraft 2 in Korea other than they played it there.
Exactly. And I mean, I read that part and like, I actually knew that stuff. I'm like, okay, yeah, this is basically the time frame it started. Yeah, blah, blah, blah. But then they go on and this study guide, they're asking you to find the mean, the median, the mode, and the range. I'm like, wait a minute. This is the stuff I studied in my MBA finance class.
I'm not doing LCS data analysis for Cloud9.
Exactly. I mean, there are people who write those software programs, but that's not me. That's not me.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, so your article is really interesting because you talk to several people who provide some interesting perspective. I also know that you've had conversations with these guys, right? The actual ECI guys, right?
Yeah. No, I talked to Sebastian for about an hour the day the announcement came out.
Right.
And then, I talked to more than a few of the ECI backers.
Right.
The what are they called? The advisors.
Yeah, the advisors.
And some of them were just like, we were supporting him as a friend. We didn't really know everything that was happening. And then they all of a sudden, in droves, I guess, contacted him, was like, hey, bro, I think you need to take me off this website because of all the backlash. People with reputations and, deep pockets don't like to be seen in the light that was cast down upon the ECI initiative, 2 days ago.
So when we talked to Sebastian, I mean, you sat with him for an hour, and I don't want you to sit. I don't want to put you in a spot where you don't want to, say certain things because of confidences. So if you tell me that you don't want to talk about it, totally fine. I'm not gonna do that.
No, we talked about on the record, off the record things.
Right.
So I mean, I don't have any problem sharing on the record things that he talked about. And I mean, dude, the dude listened to my concerns because I basically just brought up the concerns of the community at large and what they were thinking. And, that it just looks like a gigantic grift. It's like, explain to me how a standardized test that has not been validated by any academic institution for what it's supposed to do is going to help with inclusivity and diversity.
Right.
In fact, a lot of the underserved, socioeconomic groups out there, they don't have $400.
Exactly.
And in the beginning, nobody was really aware of, whatever scholarship or program that was out there to help. But that's because they didn't think about it. I didn't see, they didn't think about it. They didn't think it through. I'm sure they thought about it, but they didn't think it all the way through. I didn't see any application to where I could sign up for a reduced fee.
Right.
I didn't see any of those kinds of things because I know, everywhere else, if you want to get a reduced fee or have your fee waived, you can submit an application, it gets reviewed, and they tell you, right? Well, I didn't see any of that.
Right.
And the other thing, and I'm jumping subjects real quick, but I did a lot of thinking. A lot of people brought up the point is that just because you're a good guy shouldn't give you a pass on what this thing, really looked like it was.
Right.
And those guys that are out there getting angry because people are criticizing it, are you kidding me? You're in a position where it's indefensible. You don't get to come out and say everybody that's criticizing it, even harshly, is wrong about criticizing an initiative that was going to have people give you $400 to take a test that is industry wide. That, again, I can probably point out 5 to 10 just off the top of my head sectors where the test has absolutely nothing to do with it.
Right.
Journalism being one. Right.
And what you say right there is a very valid point. Is that this sounds good on the surface.
Yeah.
And I thought about this too. I thought a lot about this. Is that one of the great things about esports and streaming and gaming in general is that there are such low barriers to entry. That is what everybody loves. Is that anybody with a computer and a little bit of skill and a dream can eventually turn themselves into something. And
hey, so low I got in.
well, and me too. I started 2 years ago. I turned 49 2 weeks ago. So believe me, you can get in at any point.
Yes.
And you're trying to raise the bar to entry.
Yeah.
With a standardized test that I'm looking at is like, why would anybody care about StarCraft 7 years ago? Why?
I mean, I only know about esports. Look, I did my research in history, right? I looked at some things, but the reality is I really only know about it from 2015 going forward, right? That's when it kind of blew up. So that's when I learned mostly about esports. And, looking back, the things I looked back on aren't going to be on that test. The seedy underbelly of esports gambling.
Dude.
People starting their own websites and not telling anybody they're the owners, and then owning a team, owning the tournament, and owning the freaking gambling website.
Right.
Yeah, that's not going to be on a test.
No, not at all.
It's like, so it's like, for me, again, investigative journalism, nothing on that test that I saw was going to be pertinent to having a standardized score. So, when I get let go from whatever job I'm at and I go to .esports and just playing around saying, hey, I want a job, they're going to go, hey, why don't you show me your standardized score? Because nothing about that says anything about what I can do in journalism.
So, okay, so you sat with Sebastian.
Yeah.
So what's your impression of where he thought he was going and where he actually ended up with this?
Yeah, I think what happened is he got together with a bunch of friends and they said, hey, all the other industries do this. We should do it. Okay. And they got together and they thought about it. And on its face, maybe it seems like a good idea, minus $400. But it's like, the civil service exam is an actual exam that is connected to government jobs. It is literally an instrument of government jobs that they look at that is tailored towards specific things so that you can get a job. They look at that, meaning it is a part, and it's on their websites. They when I applied for the sheriff department, I worked in law enforcement for some years. I had to take a civil service exam when I applied. I also had to take other exams that were heavily reviewed.
Right.
They had gone through a process that said, what do police officers, and remember, this is entry exam, right?
Yeah.
It's just like, what do you need to be good at just to get in the door?
Right.
Well, for police officers, it's reading comprehension.
Okay.
Right? Okay. I need to be able to read a penal code and understand the elements of a crime. I need to understand that. One of my favorite questions was that imagine if you're just on a grid, right? And it says you're in your patrol car and you go 2 blocks west, 2 blocks north, 2 blocks east, and 2 blocks south. How many blocks from the station are you? 0.
Yeah, because you went in a circle.
Yeah.
You went in a circle.
But one of the answers is 8. And I'm sure that people have written 8.
Oh yeah, I'm absolutely certain they have. Yeah.
So the things that test specifically wanted to know was, can you read and write the English language? Can you understand concepts?
Right.
Can you write in a way that articulates things that happen? And how good of a memory do you have? There's actually memory portions to the exam, because when you arrive on a scene, right, you got to take in everything. This was, remember, when I was first working kind of before body cams.
Right. Okay.
So I had to remember what I rolled up on and then write about it afterwards.
Right.
But so this test was specific to the job that I was looking to get. Right?
Exactly.
It cost me $0 to take.
Wow. Okay.
I went into an examination room and there it was. Okay. So the Esports, Certification Institute exam. I don't even really know if that's the name of it, but it just called it the exam. They wanted to sort of do the same thing, but there's no connection. Who are they connected to? Where on anybody's website in all of esports does it say we are going to be looking at this exam as part of our hiring process? I'm fairly certain the answer is none. I didn't see it on anybody's website.
Right.
That when you're looking for a job, so there's no authority in that exam. So what's the $400 going to if there's no authority in the exam?
And see, and that right there, that line right there that you just said, there's no authority, is that it feels like to me that they tried to skip steps in the process.
That's a really good way to put it. Yeah.
Instead of starting at, hey, here's something we want to build, and we want to make it so it's at least broad enough to support the majority of esports. There will always be outliers. There will always be people who choose not to follow these guidelines or these standards. That's fine, but let's get people involved and create somewhat of a consensus. Even if you get 12 people from various verticals, various games, and kind of throw them in a room for a couple hours and just to come up with something. But what you said makes sense. There is no authority attached to it. They just skip to the step of, instead of building a product over time that made sense for multiple industries. I mean, even if you took like COD, CSGO, and League and said, look, here's what we want to do. We want to create a standard by which you can hire from this pool of people. I bet you there'd be executives and orgs going, yeah, let's freaking do that. I'd love to have something like that, but they didn't do that, right?
No, they didn't. And the thing is, look, and I will say this, Harris Peskin, he said something I thought was fairly accurate to me.
Okay.
He said the authority would be derived from those that take value in the exam, right?
Yes.
But I didn't see anybody. I didn't see anybody stepping up saying, yeah, we're going to use this. I just didn't see it. But at the same time, it's like, I don't know. Who am I to spontaneously, I'm just going to say, I am the head of the Esports Writers Association. Right now. I'm
right.
it.
Right.
Yep. So now I'm the head of the Esports Writers Association.
Right.
I am the authority.
Right.
I have enough time to do work in that area, but I think there is others, and I'm not talking just straight esports. I mean, I would talk like somebody like Mike Hume over at Launcher Washington Post, right?
Okay.
I would talk about, others that have been around that have immense experience in the journalistic space to take the reins on something like that. That would lend much more authority to something like that. And there wasn't that authority here. I didn't know who really Sebastian Park was.
Okay.
Or is. Now I do.
Now you do. And see, and that's an interesting point that you bring. Thank you for the follow. How many tricks? Appreciate the follow. Is that you can't reference yourself as an authority. You have to reference something outside of your circle as an authority. And that analogy that you brought up is great. You could start an esports writers guild or whatever, but it wouldn't serve well unless you had a journalist who wrote for like the Wall Street Journal, the New York Post, New York Times, Washington Post, things like that, who have an extended career and have gone through, the 70s, 80s, 90s, and into 2000s and seen things evolve over time and could create standards that way. Somebody waking up and falling out of bed and going, hey, I'm the head of the Esports Writers Association. When? Now. Why? Because I said so. That doesn't work.
Maybe I have some friends that back me up.
Right.
Maybe I have some friends that say, no, and I put them on a website and they say,
right,
I'm behind it. It's still not going to work. So that's why I'm just like, and look, so I talked to Sebastian at length about it.
Right.
And the reality here is, man, just the launch was so poor.
Yeah.
Was done in such a way where people, they literally, all they saw was give us $400 to take a test.
Right.
And people are like,
yeah, why? Yeah.
And where's that money going to? No, and that question still hasn't been answered, by the way.
Okay.
I have not seen an answer to where does the $400 go?
Okay.
Is there a network of, and this is the problem. This is where I go, my analytic and my skeptical investigative mind goes, I wonder if everybody gets spread out. Hey, to be a part of this, we can give kickbacks and all this money can be distributed to everybody that uses this service.
Right.
And I'm just like, that seems kind of like restricting fair trade, or I'm not smart enough to really know what all that means, but just in order to work for them to have to take that test and pay $400, I mean, it seems pretty shitty, to be honest.
It does. I agree. If they had come out and I guess if they had spent a lot more time thinking through, okay, so we're charged $400. Where's this $400 go? Okay, well, for every test, for every exam taken, for every $400 fee taken, we will, spend 200 of that on programs for XYZ or whatever. Yeah. I mean, that just that right there would have landed very well, because I don't think gamers in general would begrudge somebody trying this, saying, look, I'm not trying to get rich, but I do need to be compensated for my time. And people are like, hey, totally fair. But let's be sure that if I'm giving you $400 or like what I did, I'm giving you $25 for the study guide. Where's that? Who gets the $25? I mean, I get that you spent time writing it, and that's fine. But if you say to me, you can name your price for the study guide, and then I'm going to charge you $400. Okay, well, who's doing this and why? And then on the website, I read through the website multiple times, and you're right about the fact that there was no immediate mention of, here's a scholarship program. And I think that whole thought process goes directly against what all startups do to gain traction, is that they give first. Because otherwise, people spotted this right away. And you said to yourself, where's this money going and why should I care? Because
I'd rather give $400 and go meet all the people in some sort of, conference with all the people that were, I would actually, for the people that were listed on that advisory panel, I'd actually just cut a straight $400 check just to talk with those guys,
Okay.
But what really, really concerns me going forward, though, is who's going to look at this as, what if Riot, Activision, Epic all get together now and go, man, that was a really good idea. What if we ran our own standardized tests for all of us? And now they say, to work here, you should take this. We will give more weight to something of that and charge $200. That really scares the shit out of me that could happen.
It does. It scares me too. I mean, for all of the screaming and yelling that we did about Hacktivision, I don't know if anybody noticed, but did you see the piece of news where the Activision Blizzard CEO took a pay cut?
Yeah. I think I want to say either 60 or 50%. However, I think can still make that up at a later date. Not really sure, but yeah, I did see that Bobby Kotick has taken, going forward. But I mean, that was after how much heartache did they take after it was announced he took he was going to take 200 million or whatever it was.
Well, he so they lay off / fire a whole bunch of people, and then, oh, by the way, he's taking a $200 million bonus, and I'm like,
yeah, just the timing of that looked really bad.
I'm like, okay, apparently they got the press releases mixed up or somehow. I mean, why?
Yeah. After every time they have a record quarter's earning, they've laid off numerous people. And look, I don't understand the business side of it. Somebody said there's a reason they do that. Because it's truly all about business.
Yes, it is. It is.
Yeah, I don't totally understand it, but I'm just like, it just kind of sucks that keeps happening. But I don't understand the reasoning.
So okay, and it honestly boils down to this. It happens with the WWE. It's happening right now for where I work. Each quarter you have to hit a certain number. And if you don't hit this certain number, then your investors want to know what you're going to do about it. The most cost-effective, fastest way to save money is to cut a labor. That's it. That's all there is to it. You find the bottom 10% that you can, bottom 10% of people that you don't think you need, and you just let them go. And that happens all the time. What I'm dealing with right now at the casino that I work at is that we were shut down for 10 months. And so this was right after we were purchased as part of a large overall purchase of small casinos in Washington State. And all these venture capitalists, even though it was shut down, doesn't change the fact that they're still losing money, and the fastest way to save money in any business is to cut labor. So this obviously fell flat. wasn't received well. So when you talk to Sebastian, talk to these guys, it seems like to me, based upon what you're saying, that they were kind of surprised at everybody's reaction.
Yeah. I mean, why launch it if you think that's going to happen, right?
Right.
I don't think they anticipated this at all, which is really, really interesting considering, again, the people whose names put themselves up for that. So yeah, no, they didn't see that, dude. They thought they would get some, backlash, but they did not have any clue that it would be to this level, which is super. I mean,
wow.
When I was talking to my editor about it, when the story first came out,
right.
Let me see. I think my first quote was, I don't want to write about this. This looks like a money grab and I hate it.
Yes, that's right. That's right. I remember you tweeting that. I'm like, yeah, that's exactly what this looks like. I'm like,
that's what I wrote to my editor, and he's like, Kev, we got to cover it. And I'm like, yeah, all right. But it just, my initial thoughts right off the bat were, this is some shit, right? But, talking to Sebastian, one thing that dude's really good at is playing, and I jest in the term, but I do think he's genuine. Right. But playing the role of the humble apologist, he's really good at that, just taking it all on and saying, yep, I messed up, yep, this and that. But, he's saying all the right things, he's doing all the right things right now. But when I talked to him, that's what he said. We messed up. The messaging was bad, because I asked him some hard questions and he answered them for me.
Wow.
I mean, the test was not reviewed. The test was not reviewed by, any higher institution of academia or somebody in that nature that validates the instrument for what it's supposed to do. Right. Again, right. Exam equals instrument. And when you have that instrument in the classroom, that instrument is designed to show something, a certain knowledge set, or whatever. But that wasn't really the case with this. And people, you could tell. I mean, it's all over the place. The test is all over the place.
It is very much all over the place. Yeah.
Yeah. So I grilled him on that, and he agreed. And then I talked to him about the $400 and the scholarship. And he goes, yeah, we probably should have done a better job of, announcing that. So, I mean, he took it all in stride. He took the lumps I gave him. But at the same time, I'm just thinking, I'm just not sure. Is $400 a gateway? Is it a barrier? Yeah.
Yes.
It has to be considered that.
Yeah.
I mean, at that point, I mean, shit, I don't got $400 right now that I'm during COVID times that I want to throw on an exam.
Right.
To go work at other places that, again, don't have any questions in regards to where I want to go.
Right. Yeah. So it's okay. So now I believe on the website, and if you go to the, I think you tweet, I think you say it in your article. Actually, the website is shut down now, right?
Yeah, it's a WordPress holder. Yeah.
Okay, I believe it mentioned on the website there was Sebastian and there was somebody else, wasn't there?
Yeah, Ryan Fairchild. I believe.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Ryan Fairchild.
Okay.
Fairchild. He's an attorney, I think. And he's been a little less like Sebastian, a little bit more combative.
Really?
And yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. And I'm not, on a scale of I'm going to fight you and your mom to I'm going to apologize. He was a little bit more than what Sebastian. Right. I just don't know how you act in any other way other than to say we messed up and we're going to go in and do better, because I know that he and some others, and again, less Fairchild than a lot of the others, but some, talking about like, oh, how, these people that are criticizing the ECI, you guys, you guys don't want anything new, and it's just like, go away. What you're saying is just silly. It's our job,
Right.
one, for journalists, but I learned this early. Don't attack the people you're trying to sell shit to. Okay?
Exactly.
Don't label your audience as dumb, and don't tell them that, they don't have a right or to have an opinion about your stuff. I mean, are you kidding me? So everybody that's out there, and I want to say like Marty was like, oh, we're trying to start up new. And it's like, bro, why are you talking shit about the people out here that are your potential customers?
Yeah.
Leave them alone.
Well, the thing about esports is a gaming in general, streaming, things like that. So the gatekeeping is already bad enough. It's already bad enough. It's gatekeeping and nepotism is it's outrageous. It does not matter your qualifications. It only matters who you know. And then you're creating a new gate, a new barrier that people have to jump through for $400. And I was really hoping when I brought you on, I was really hoping that you would tell me, yeah, the entire crew's like, wow, this did not land well. But there's like one, and he's like, yeah, this didn't land well. I probably didn't think. But then you got a bunch of other people like, oh, you're just a bunch of, weak-minded, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, that right there, that little bit that you brought up is the entire problem of the industry. Is that
keep those names on a list.
Yes, exactly.
It's like, what? You don't get to talk to us like that. It's like have you seen the overwhelming tidal wave opinion of what just come down, and you want to tell people, oh, you guys are so bad and, going after this and that skate. No, first of all, which is funny, but that's esports. Esports is, they will heavily and deeply rebuke anything that they think is just silly, dumb, pyramid scheme, whatever. They will do that. And so they did that in this case. And again, I'm not going to, very little reason to tell the people you're trying to market to that they don't get to have a voice.
Right.
And that they're wrong. And so with that, it's like, I don't see any other way of acting in this situation other than to say, I think our intentions were good and the idea was halfway good, but boy, did we just poorly execute this. It was rushed, and it makes me think that maybe there was a little arms race going on between maybe 1, 2, or 3 people maybe trying to do the same thing, maybe, and that they maybe rushed it a little bit, and then but when the others saw, and I don't have any direct proof of this, but when others saw what happened, they're like, nope, we're not going to jump in that water yet.
Yeah. Okay. So you said at the beginning, and I saw this on the website before it was taken down. They had a lot of pictures of people that they called their advisors, quote unquote. And I know from the startup world, when you have an advisor, it's 1, maybe 2 people, maybe 2 who have some experience in some areas where you're not quite as strong. But I was scrolling. I was like, they got to have like 30 people here as advisors. I'm like, wait a minute, 30 advisors? Something. I saw that website and I'm like, this does not look right to me.
No, a couple of them said we're just backing Sebastian because he's a good dude. That's a fact.
Okay.
They weren't really, financially invested.
Okay.
In fact, I would say most of them, I can't think of one, but most of them were not even financially invested in this with their own money. And I know that I called a couple of my contacts and they're just like, I don't want to talk about it. Leave me alone.
Go away,
They
Kevin.
said, leave me alone, Kevin. I don't want to talk about this.
It's like,
And then I
man.
noticed all, the names are being dropped off that page.
Right.
But the reality here is that, and then I think Adam Fitch, according to his sources, he said even after the initial launch, like a third of them called Sebastian and said, take my name off the list, bro. This is not going well. Abandoned ship. And
wow.
So yeah. So no, I know that there were advisors in name only, just trying to lend support. I mean, come on, dude. That's a good friend, right? Good friends do stuff like that.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
Bro, mixing that friendship and business angle, and now your name is going to be attached and associated with what people are calling, pyramid scheme, Ponzi, whatever,
right.
Gatekeeping, and I'm not saying it's those things,
right?
But that's been said on Twitter. It's those things.
Yeah, totally.
People.
Yeah.
And now you're associated with that. Kind of sucks. And now like I tweeted out earlier today, it's really put me in a quandary in terms of, what I thought I knew about some of these people. But after talking to a couple of my friends,
right,
I can tell you that, they're like, nah, Kev, he's a good dude. I've worked with him in the past. And so, I just wanted to put my name on there because I'm his friend. But after, seeing what happened, probably won't be doing any favors for anybody. So he probably ruined that for everybody going forward. No more being a friend and doing a favor and putting their name on stuff for anybody going forward,
Yeah. Yeah, that and that's unfortunate. I don't, I don't fault Sebastian. I don't fault Sebastian for the idea. I don't fault Sebastian for his courage to do it. There are a lot of people with a lot of great ideas, and ideas are like noses. Everybody has one, but the people who have the courage to take the next step of, actually putting something out there. And yes, it failed miserably. It did. There is no doubt about it. I figure, I've seen this happen in other industries with other people, and maybe given how people and I guess given the nature of human beings, I would bet if Sebastian just didn't do anything for like 3 months that was in the public eye and then came back with a new idea, I don't think anybody would actually care that much, because the great thing is he gave all the money back.
Yeah, no, he did. He refunded everybody, even the study guide folks, right? So it's
exactly. Yep.
Yeah. So no, he did, but look, I mean, there's going to be a little bit more scrutiny.
Yes.
On what he does going forward.
Yes.
But I don't think anybody's ever, just because of this, I don't think anybody's going to dismiss him out of hand.
No.
I mean, again, everybody and their mom saying he's a good dude. Again, I would say, yes, he's a good dude. At the same time, not sure that means a free pass.
Right.
But I think he's taken everything that he needs to take at this point.
Yeah.
The esports community rebuked him for this, and I don't think they're going to hold a major grudge going forward. And I think you live and learn, and you just move on,
Yeah, and I feel the same way. I'm like, you know what? I wouldn't be surprised if in a couple weeks I see some sort of a feature interview by yourself or somebody else, where he's like, hey, look, here's what we thought we were doing. Here's how it landed, and here's what I learned, kind of crap.
Well, that's what I'm trying to change myself into. I'm to be honest with you. I want to do investigative journalism, but what I've learned in the last week and a half, and I'm just going to say it, I've developed a good rapport in what I call my Oprah interview technique with some people.
Yeah.
And I'd really like to start getting to that positive aspect of the space, while exploring, the perpetrators and the bad actors. But I'd really like to start doing more sit on couch type interviews with folks and just discussing things in sports, for sure.
Well, and that's the sort of thing that I love doing, because I learned very early in my process, everybody's favorite subject is themselves. Everybody's favorite subject is themselves. They would love to tell you about everything they're doing and why they're doing it. And I guess I guess this is a good point to kind of shift gears. I'm sure you saw the tweet from Richard Lewis, where he's like, I don't know if I want to do this anymore. And I'm like, wait, no, don't, we can't, no, please, don't, we cannot lose Richard Lewis. What is wrong with people, right?
No, look, the thing about esports that really kind of gets to me is a lot of people have an age stigma. And as people get older, they feel like, oh, I'm not young. I'm gonna, in esports, being a professional esports player, it's not generally your age as to why you don't compete anymore. It's real life catches up with you.
Yeah.
They want to have families. They want to do other things. And like, let's take Jordan, for instance, Gilbert. I call him a good friend. He, one of the best Counter-Strike players of his age, with Cloud9.
Right.
Very charismatic leadership abilities. But, as Jordan's numbers started to wane, I really don't think it was a byproduct of him getting older. It was a byproduct of him wanting to have a relationship with his girlfriend, who he now has a child with.
Right.
And, wanting to have a family. And that takes up so much more time than trying to practice 8 hours a day.
Right.
And then, do content and then do sponsor activations, blah, blah, blah. Right. So,
right.
But there seems to be this age thing. And I think, if you listen carefully to a lot of these people out there, they talk about that a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, do I relate to that younger demographic? Are they going to think I'm old and so I can't do video anymore? Because no, I mean, look, am I old and fat and look like, a freaking, just an egg? Yeah. But at the same time, if my content's interesting and I'm breaking the right stories,
right,
and I'm being a force of good in the space,
right,
people are going to click on my stuff and they're still going to read my stuff and I'm still going to be employed. So, and look, as just an aside, the fact that there are so many freaking news outlets out there that aren't hiring for the right reasons just kills me. They don't want people that are going to get them views. I don't know why they're not. It just kills me. But anyways, the Esports Observer's literally, they've been amazing in
Good.
My growth as a journalist. And I get to work with awesome editors and, people that are really connected and knowledgeable. And I got lucky getting this job. So I'm fairly stoked.
Yeah. And I agree with you too. It's that, I look around at what passes for.
Yeah.
And I hate saying this out loud. I look around at what passes for journalism, and it's not actual writing. It's just a press release because game developers and people with products to sell basically buy articles. That's all they're doing.
Just kiss their ass. And if you kiss their ass, they're gonna bring. It's so funny. The more ass kissing you do to the publishers, to the orgs, they're gonna send you jerseys, bro, and they're gonna send you shorts, but they're also in control of you.
Yeah,
they send you the news they want you to report.
Yeah,
you're just. This is my street talk, but it's like they're making you their bitch, right? It's like. They're just sending you stuff that they know that you're going to print or you're going to talk about. Well, and while that's okay, you're not going to get the stories that resonate with your audience. I had to dig and hunt for the Optic story when Hectic bought Optic back, and that whole timeline of where I was in front of that whole story. Do you think anybody's going to hand me that? No.
No.
It doesn't even matter that I think, Hector and I are acquaintances, right? That know each other and, can talk. But he's never going to share. But again, no one's going to do that anyways.
Right.
So why are some people so keen on just being so nice? I mean, I guess it can get you a job in broadcasting if you just write positive stuff all the time.
And see, and what you bring up is really interesting, because there are people out there, and like for example, Jake Lucky, he walks that line. He walks that line.
He doesn't even walk the line. He's on a complete. And as a person, I'm cool with Jake.
Right.
But I've told him in uncertain terms, he's not a journalist.
No, not even close.
Who does that? Who asks and gets sent gear,
right,
and then reports on the news, and then consistently goes, I don't want to make anybody mad, so I'm not really going to take a stand on this.
Right, exactly.
What are you doing then? What are you even out here? So, but again, do I think there's a place for the Jake Luckies in the world? Sure.
Yeah.
It's more TMZ than anything.
Yeah.
But, if he's offended by that, I apologize. But that's the truth of that. Jake is not a journalist. No. He's not. He's a TMZ type person, and you just watch his videos. I don't want to make anybody mad.
Right.
I don't want to take opinions, because he wants those jerseys to keep flowing.
Well, and he it's really interesting. And you see Jake.
He's good at what he does, though. He's good at what he does. People like him. He's very charismatic. I want to say that he's good at what he does.
He's charismatic. He's attractive. He's young. Yeah. He has the saying, drink your water, drink your coffee. At the start and the end of every single video that he makes, people send him stuff and he reports on drama. Hey, that's it.
I'd hire him.
Well, he has the look. He has the look. He has the delivery.
But he's not a journalist.
No.
I think we need, and he's not a journalist. He's an entertainer, I guess, would be the way. So yeah. And if that, strikes people an odd way, so be it. You know how I am, Bill. I'm just gonna tell you my real thoughts.
And see, we were joking before you showed up, and I said, Kevin is that guy. If he has an opinion that he can share, he will share it. And
I'm not gonna try and be rude, but it's gonna get there.
It's gonna get there eventually. All right. So all that stuff was great. I don't see any need to really beat up on the guys for ECI. I mean,
they've been beat up pretty good the last 2 days.
I get it. I guess I have the perspective of age like you do, and I see this. I'm like, okay, didn't land well. Okay, I'm sure they're wonderful people who thought they were trying to do well, but it didn't land well. So move on and move forward.
This will be the last piece I write about it, unless something else of note comes up. I just wanted to, end the week giving, a slight synopsis, and then, show what the overall esports community was thinking. And I think, unlike some political outlets that just want to beat up political figures all day long, every day, when they have nothing to do with government anymore, I guess some people will want to do that, but that's not me, dude. If they come back out and they do some more things, I'm going to cover it from a neutral news standpoint that I do with all my work. That's just how I am.
Okay. So speaking of news, do you have some more stuff on the way that you can't really talk about? You like that
one? News? No, but not now. But I will say this: I'm not trying to be a shill for Esports Rising.
Okay.
But holy cow, if you look at who's at Esports Rising and who's going to be speaking,
okay,
we have Johanna Ferries, who is basically queen of esports at this point.
Okay.
She was like senior vice president of everything Call of Duty, commissioner Overwatch, and she's just everything, right?
Right.
So she's going to be our keynote speaker, and then you've got Jessica Blevins, Ninja's manager and wife.
And
then God, who else is out there? You've got Steve Aronset from Liquid.
Okay.
And dude, there's just and look, I'm not trying to be a shill for Esports Rising, but all I would say is, if you go look for yourself and see who's talking, and
Right.
see what the agenda is. And if those things interest you, then, sign up to watch. But, if it's not, then it's not. But this Esports Rising for me,
Mhm.
holy cow, it's super exciting. But on the topic of other news, we do have something coming out that will be a little sad. That'll
Oh,
be next week.
okay.
And then let's see. And then I'm digging on a couple of workplace stories
Oh,
that
okay.
people thought were done, but I'm still it's so funny because people think you forget stuff just because time passes. But in fact, I've just been behind the scenes digging, just like any former LEO would do. And so yeah, that's basically what I'm looking at for the next, and then there's a cool story coming out
Uh-oh.
on some things, production value behind the scenes
Huh.
with a very popular game and how that all works. Like, it's awesome. And so
Really?
I am very excited. Yeah, but I signed an NDA, so I can't
Totally fine.
say it. I can't say anything until it actually gets published. So
Wow.
I can say that, but look forward to that. So yeah, I mean, I'm still, but yeah, so lots of stuff coming up. I'm super excited. That's really where I'm at, man. And then I will, and this is going to be a little, what do you call that? A selfish promo.
Okay, go ahead. Do it.
Yeah, no. I'm going to be doing a fundraiser for my local high school volleyball team. I'm the varsity head coach
Whoa,
for
okay.
Mayfair High School in Lakewood, California.
Okay.
And I'm going to be doing a GoFundMe or Patreon just to raise some funds for our program. So, that all goes to the girls, by the way. The coaches and the CFs on the section are not allowed to pay themselves or use any of that money for me. Has to go straight to the program. So I will be launching that. And if you want to make 50 young high school athletes feel like they're cared about, then when that launches, you'll help me out. But
okay,
I know it's COVID and it's hard, but
Yep.
I'm going to be putting that out soon.
Awesome. Yep. I found Esports Rising, the agenda, Tuesday, May 4th at around 1:35. It'll be a case study, increasing fan engagement, deep dive into Team Liquid. Steve will be there. He's the co-CEO. You will be
I am
moderating that. Yeah, go figure. I said it, not you. I said it. But you'll be the moderator. That's hilarious.
All right, look at that job.
Wow, yeah.
Good one.
Oh yeah. Anyway, you are an awesome person. Thank you very much. I for being here. I have looked forward to this, talking to you like this for a long time, and I appreciate you being here, my man.
Yeah, I love you, bro, and I think many more opportunities for you out there to keep doing this. This is fun, so hit me up anytime.
You got it, brother. Thank you very much. Kevin Hitt, the man himself from the Esports Observer. He knows a lot more than he can talk about. Let's just put it that way. He knows a lot more than he can talk about. Things you get told behind the scenes. Thank you very much for joining me today, my man.
You got it, brother. I'll see you next time.
Have a good day.
Thank you for tuning in today. You can find links to everyone on the show in the description below. Check out Bill the Conqueror on Twitch and Twitter to stay up to date on his thoughts and ideas about gaming culture.